Shalom everybody, I'm Sari.
And I'm Kayla.
And welcome to Pre-Shabbos Circle Time this week. We hope you're excited to join us. Can we start by all drawing our big circles? It's circle time, it's circle time, it's circle time today. It's circle time, it's circle time, let's all shout hooray! Do you know what? I would like to hear you shout hooray this much louder. 1, 2, 3. Whoa, that was so loud. Oh, I'm so excited that you're here and joining us for Circle Time this week. Can everyone get out there? Shabbos angels? The Shabbos angels are peeking through my window. Emma's lighting candles, but no one's gone to shul. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom to every one of you. Good Shabbos. Let's start by making some challah for Shabbat. Can everyone get out your big spoon? Let's mix the sticky batter. Watch it rise and grow. Time to do a mitzvah and pinch off a piece of dough. Braid and braid a challah as neatly as you're able. Slide it in the oven, then on the Shabbos table. Yum, 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 yum.
Hey, you forgot the bracha.
I forgot the bracha. Oh no! Then we say the bracha and eat our challah. Why don't we make some chicken soup this week? It's been a while since we've had soup because it's been so hot outside. Let's start with the chicken. Put the chicken in the pot. Stir it up nice and hot. Let's get ready for Shabbat. For Shabbat. Next, we'll put in some carrots. Put the carrots in the pot. Stir it up nice and hot. Let's get ready for Shabbat. For Shabbat. Next, what would you like to put in, Kayla?
The broth.
The broth. Put the broth in the pot. Stir it up nice and hot. Let's get ready for Shabbat. For Shabbat. Now, what would you like to put in our soup? Candy? Let's put some candy in. Put the candy in the pot. Stir it up nice and hot. Let's get ready for Shabbat. For Shabbat. What tasty soup. I'm so excited for Shabbos this week.
I really love putting candy though.
Oh, well, that's our special soup recipe. Now, let's put it over to Rabbi Scher, who can tell us a little bit about this week's Parsha. Over to you, Rabbi Scher.
Hi everyone, this week's Parsha is Parshat B'Halotcha, and it begins to talk about the menorah, and building the menorah, and lighting the menorah. And we continue to light the menorah, not every day like they did back when we had the Beit HaMikdash, the Holy Temple in Jerusalem, but we light it on Hanukkah. And after it talks about the menorah, it talks about some other really special topics, including on Pesach, we bring a special korban, we bring a special sacrifice. But there were some people that aren't able to bring it on Pesach itself, and they came to Moshe, and they said, Moshe, please give us a second chance so that we can also bring the Korban Pesach, so we can also bring the special Pesach sacrifice. And from then on, there was the first Pesach, and then you had a makeup date 1 month later. But it was only because people came to Moshe and said, we don't want to lose out. We want an opportunity to do that special mitzvah. They could have had an excuse, and they could have said, oh, we missed it. I guess we'll have to miss it this year. But they didn't want to rely on excuses and instead wanted to make sure that they got to do a special mitzvah because all the mitzvot are so special. Have a wonderful Shabbat. I'm going to miss you again in shul, but please make sure that you give me a virtual high five or a virtual handshake as you say Adon Olam. Shabbat Shalom, and I miss all of you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Scher.
Now we're going to read this week's book, and it's one of my favorites. Kayla, can you tell them what this week's book is called?
Bagels from Benny.
That's right, Bagels from Benny. The sun was just waking up when Benny ran downstairs to Grandpa's bakery. He always helped Grandpa before he went to school. He swept the floor and dusted the shelves. He put cookies and cakes on the counter. He put bagels and buns in the bins. Benny loved to help his grandpa. People bustled in and out of Grandpa's bakery all day long. Some bought bread and some bought cake. Some bought apple strudel. Everyone bought bagels. Grandpa baked the best bagels in town. So crusty outside, Mrs. Silver declared. So soft inside, added Mr. Gold. You put love in your bagels, gushed Mrs. Green. Thank you so much. Grandpa handed Mrs. Green a bag full of bagels. Why thank me, he asked. And who else should I thank, laughed Mrs. Green. Just then the clock struck 8. We'll be late for work, cried Mrs. Silver. Dear me, gasped Mr. Gold. Toodaloo, sang Mrs. Green, and they scurried out the door. Benny was puzzled. Why shouldn't Mrs. Green thank you? You make the bagels. Grandpa lifted Benny onto the counter. Benny, he asked, aren't bagels made with flour? Yes, said Benny. Doesn't flour come from wheat? Yes, Benny nodded. Where does wheat come from? From the earth, answered Benny. And who made the earth? Hashem did, Benny replied. Grandpa smiled. Then thank Hashem for the bagels. It was a good idea. Benny closed his eyes. Thank you, Hashem, he whispered. Then he waited. Did he hear me, Grandpa? You ask difficult questions, Grandpa chuckled. Hashem always hears you. But Benny wasn't so sure. If Hashem had really heard him, then why didn't he answer? At school that day, Benny did no work. He didn't read and he didn't write. At recess, he sat alone in the shade of a tall maple tree. What's wrong? Asked his teacher. What's wrong? Asked his friends. I'm thinking, Benny sighed. Benny was still thinking when he went to bed that night. Maybe Hashem didn't answer because I didn't thank him properly, he yawned. Maybe there's some other way to thank Hashem for his bagels. Benny fell asleep. Early Friday morning, a little sunbeam danced into Benny's bedroom. It jumped onto his pillow and tickled his eyelids until they opened. Benny's eyes sparkled in the sunlight. Suddenly, he had an idea. He leaped out of bed and ran downstairs. That morning, Benny worked very hard in the bakery. Grandpa, he asked, would you pay me for my work? Grandpa raised his eyebrows. Pay you? How much? A big bag of bagels, replied Benny. Why bagels? Grandpa asked. It's a secret, whispered Benny. Grandpa laughed and gave Benny a huge bag full of bagels. Benny took them to the shul. This is where people speak to Hashem, he thought. Maybe I can thank him here. He opened the door and peeked inside. It was dark and very still. Benny trembled. Maybe I shouldn't. It's not prayer time. But Benny took a deep breath and walked in. He tiptoed past empty wooden benches. He climbed the stairs to a big wooden cupboard, the Holy Ark. His heart pounded. He could barely breathe. Maybe I shouldn't open it. Maybe Hashem won't like it. The Torah is inside and it's his special book. But Benny took a deep breath and pulled the doors open. King of the universe, he whispered. I brought you some bagels. I know you make them, but you never taste them because Grandpa sells every last one. Benny put the bag in the ark and closed the doors. Thank you for making the best bagels in town, Benny whispered. Then he ran off to school. On Shabbos, Benny and Grandpa went to shul. Everyone prayed and sang, but not Benny. He kept his eyes on the doors of the ark. Had Hashem eaten the bagels, he wondered? When the ark was opened and the Torah was taken out, Benny looked inside. The bagels were gone. His heart skipped and his eyes danced. I'm so glad you liked them, he whispered. I'll bring you more. Week after week, Benny worked in Grandpa's bakery. Every Friday, Grandpa gave him bagels, and every Friday, Benny gave the bagels to Hashem. Grandpa became curious. What was his grandson doing with all those bagels? One Friday, he followed Benny to the shul. He waited in the shadows and watched. They're still warm, just the way you like them, murmured Benny. He opened the ark and put the bag of bagels inside. What are you doing? Grandpa bellowed. Benny spun around. Grandpa, he gasped. I'm thanking Hashem. You're putting bagels in Hashem's holy ark? Cried Grandpa. But he likes the bagels, insisted Benny. Every week he eats them all. Oh, Benny, Grandpa laughed. Hashem doesn't need to eat. He doesn't have a mouth or a stomach. He doesn't even have a body. He doesn't? Benny frowned. Then where did the bagels go? Grandpa looked at the ark. He looked at Benny. He stroked his beard and scratched his head. I don't know, he sighed. Suddenly the front door creaked open. Grandpa put a finger to his lips and pulled Benny into the shadows. In walked a man in a tattered coat. He took the bag of bagels from the ark. Oh, Lord, I was so hungry, he sobbed. For weeks you fed me. From heaven you sent such beautiful bagels. He tucked the bag under his coat. I have good news for both of us, he said. I have found work. He wiped away his tears. Now I can feed myself and you can stop baking bagels. The man smiled as he quietly closed the cupboard. You helped me, Hashem. Now I promise to help others. Then he left. Benny buried his face in Grandpa's coat and wept. Hashem didn't eat my bagels. That poor man took them. Grandpa's eyes grew wide with wonder. Benny, he asked, you wanted to thank Hashem? Yes, Benny sniffed. Well, you did, said Grandpa. How? Benny asked. Didn't you give bagels to a hungry man? Asked Grandpa. Yes, Benny replied. Didn't he promise to help others? Yes, Benny nodded. Then you made the world a little better, said Grandpa. I did? Benny wondered. You did. Grandpa smiled. And what better thanks could Hashem have? What a fun book. Now let's all stand up. Who can clap so loud? And who can jump so high? Great jumping. Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe. Morah Kehilat Yaakov, Morah Kehilat Yaakov, Morah Kehilat Yaakov, Torah Tziva lanu Moshe. Great job, everyone. Now let's all sit down. Can everyone show us their quietest fingers? Twinkle, twinkle, kochavim, way up in the shamayim. If we say Shema tonight, everything will be alright. Twinkle, twinkle, kochavim, way up in the shamayim. Now can everyone cover your eyes for Shema? Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha Bechol levavecha, ubechol nefshecha, ubechol me'odecha, v'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh, asher anochi mitzavecha hayom, al levavecha, v'shinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, v'shitecha beveitecha, uvalechtecha v'derech, uv'shavtecha u'kumecha, u'shartam liot al yodecha, v'hayu letotefa b'neinecha, u'tavtam ma'mezuzah beitecha, u'visharecha. Do-do-do-do. Oh, Kayla fell asleep. Is everyone else asleep too? Look at all the sleeping children sleeping until noon. Come, let us wake them with a merry tune. They're so still, are they ill? Wake up, little children, hop, hop, hop. Wake up, little children, hop, hop, hop. Wake up, little children, hop, hop, hop. Hop and stop. Now let's all stand up. I've got that Shabbos feeling up in my head, up in my head. Up in my head, I've got that Shabbos feeling. Up in my head today. I've got that Shabbos feeling deep in my heart, deep in my heart, deep in my heart. I've got that Shabbos feeling deep in my heart today. I've got that Shabbos feeling out in my hands, out in my hands. Out in my hands, I've got that Shabbos feeling. Out in my hands today. I've got that Shabbos feeling. Down in my toes, down in my toes, down in my toes. I've got that Shabbos feeling. Down in my toes today. Good Shabbos, everybody. Have a great week.